The most important program on your computer is your web browser, and yet most people aren't sure which web browser they're using or what a web browser even is. Let me try to explain by first telling you what a web browser is not. A web browser is different from Windows or Mac, which are systems that allow you to manage files and programs. And it's different from a search engine, which is a website that is used to search the internet. Instead, a web browser is a program on your computer that allows you to visit websites. You get to your web browser by clicking on its icon. From there, you enter web addresses, and the web browser displays the web pages for you. The web browser is the most important piece of software on your computer because every web page runs through it. So a faster web browser means that you'll save time on every web page you open. Installing a new web browser is free and only takes minutes. So take a moment to choose a web browser that you like best today.
The Internet is a remarkable tool that allows us to communicate with audio, video, text, and other data around our home, to our neighbors, and around the world. The Internet's design allows all to interact with no central authority. It is a bastion for free speech and an informed society. It is also a tool that can be used to monitor, influence, and outright control society. We will examine what the Internet is, what is being done to monitor and control you, and what can be done to keep the Internet the powerful tool it can be for freedom of thought and speech. What is the Internet? Technically, the Internet is a bunch of computers, routers, electric and fiber optic cables, and wireless devices, etc., that allow our computers to talk to someone else's computer. Who owns the Internet? The Internet, just like public roads, belongs to everyone and no one. We all have access and varying degrees of responsibility. Who pays for the Internet? Just like public roads, the Internet has a real cost, and those costs need to be paid. But unlike public roads, the Internet is not a government entity, although its origin is from U.S. military funding. The network itself, the mechanics of communicating from one computer to another, is provided by Internet Service Providers, or ISPs. We pay an ISP for access to the Internet, and they in turn communicate with each other. Who funds the free services? It has been said that there is no such thing as a free lunch. In general, this is true with the free services on the Internet. Many services, like broadcast radio or television, are funded by advertisers. It is to the advertisers' benefit to get their message out. They want you as a customer or to agree with their cause, and there is a significant payback for them to advertise. How do advertisers choose what and where to advertise? Advertising services advertise their service. They need to convince potential advertisers that they offer the best return and assure current customers that they need not look elsewhere. Internet advertising services are no different than print or other outlets. They propose that they know the customer on the web better than others and can deliver better performing advertisements. How do advertising companies know to whom to deliver a particular ad? Unlike broadcast radio or billboards on the highway, there are remarkable and expanding tools for Internet advertising services to know the customer, to know you. Internet advertising services try to find out as many small pieces of information about you, put them all together, and form educated guesses about what you would be interested in seeing in an ad. This may seem benign and perhaps useful, but it isn't. Where do they get the information about me? Virtually everything on the Internet can be logged and viewed by computers that monitor what you do. Trivial pieces of information that we would normally not give a thought to are accumulated in massive quantities. Using the aggregate data, those that have this data get to know you, and in many areas of your life, better than you know yourself. Let's look at a simple advertising example. Let's say you use a free email service and send a message to a friend that talks about your interest in traveling to Dallas. Sometime later, you browse the web and look on sites that have ads generated by the same company that provided your email service. While browsing, you find that more ads for hotels or car rentals than you are used to seeing. Perhaps there are ads for sporting or entertainment events in the Dallas area that you normally would not see if you lived over 1,000 miles away. Why do these ads suddenly become a viable option for the advertising service? Because you told them directly in your email that you were going to be in Dallas. There isn't a person who sits behind a desk reading your email, but there are literally thousands of computers that are doing just that. Early in internet advertising, the technology might simply have noticed the word Dallas and guessed about travel. However, as technology has advanced, what is derived from your email is astounding. Isn't this benign? Often for advertising, the results are simply a more applicable ad to the viewer, which benefits all involved. However, now that we have a basic understanding of how this works, let's apply it to governmental monitoring. Governments, for spoken reasons such as preventing illegal activity or terrorism, will monitor their populace with similar tools, but with much greater depth. Does the government monitor the internet? The government leases rooms in communications centers around the world and places in them massive computing and storage capability. All traffic that comes into the communications center is split off and sent to these rooms. In the 1990s, these systems were fairly simple, such as the FBI's Carnivore program. Now we have systems like the NARIS Intercept and the like that go way beyond those early days. The technology is still young, and the abilities will grow immensely. Does this apply to my phone call? Many of us use cell phones that can accept voice commands or speak to our computers and have what we say appear on the screen. We take the same technology and apply it to every phone call being made. You now have text from phone calls that can be examined by computers, just as our advertising company found that we were going to Dallas. Is it just the words I say, or is there more? There is far more. The time and place you do things is kept in logs. Your cell phone on your person allows a detailed record of where you are and who you're with. Your questions sent to search engines tell what you're interested in, legal, moral, or otherwise. Using mapping services tell where you are interested in. Is this information really used? Yes, it is not hard to find news articles about a music or movie pirate that was tracked down through internet logs. Hackers who get caught are usually caught through these records. Keywords are used to search communications for potential terrorists. Location tracking is used to the extreme. Freedom of Information Act requests reveal that the police forces in the U.S. use cell phone position information to track drug-related cases 1 million times a year. The intelligence community has much greater resources and releases no information of what they have or what they use. Do I have to submit? No. You are under no obligation to be monitored in the smallest details of your life by corporate or government entities. You can use the internet in a secure, private, and anonymous way. Shofar Portfolio is the tool to make this a reality. What is the mentality behind Shofar Portfolio? Shofar Portfolio interfaces like other standards-based internet services, but goes through great lengths to remove as much tracking information as possible. Shofar Portfolio provides a parallel set of services that use the fundamental communications elements of the internet, but puts security and anonymity first. When both parties communicate via Shofar Portfolio services, all information is hidden from view. This goes way beyond end-to-end encryption, but to the point that Shofar Portfolio service providers do not know and cannot know your data. Therefore, our motto, we don't know your stuff. Are we just putting our security into someone else's care? If Shofar Portfolio was the sole provider of these services, then you have a real concern. However, Shofar Portfolio does not offer the services, but only provides the software free for others to operate. We desire to work with literally thousands of family-run enterprises running servers. Each is independent and there's no financial connection between them or to Shofar Portfolio. There is no central authority, no central point of corruption. Is this available now? We desire to be fully operational in the spring of 2012. We need the financial resources to make it happen, and we need the families that want to operate one or more servers. How do I find out more? Find Shofar Portfolio on the web at shofarportfolio.com. We don't know your stuff.
How do you use the Internet? What do you do on the net? Where is the Internet? You have the Internet, for example, in your computer, mobile, and your tablet, of course. You can play games, listen to music, search for pages, and watch films. But really, the Internet is the world's largest network of computers and exists all over the planet. Except in some remote places. For example, the South Pole. Okay, but how does it all fit together? At home you might have a small network without wires, but it is still connected to the Internet by a cable. An Internet cable. Usually your home is connected to the Internet by a wire that is buried in the ground to a cabinet where many wires are connected to a large Internet cable. You can also connect with the mobile without wires, and then signals are sent to and from your mobile through a mobile mast, which is then connected to an Internet cable. When you use the Internet, your device is part of the Internet network. The Internet cables in the ground form a network. These small networks are interconnected with larger networks and then further all over the world with the help of wires that send information super fast. Are you wondering how fast? Nearly 5 times around the Earth per second. Because it's light in these large Internet cables that send the information, which we usually call Internet traffic. 1 second. Can I send a cheese sandwich over the Internet? No, because the things that are sent on the Internet are called digital information and are made up of ones and zeros. Computers and computer programs translate the ones and zeros so that you can see, hear, and use the information. If you want to check out web pages, send and receive messages, create a site and write a blog, upload pictures, play games, watch movies, listen to music, and many other things. On the Internet, there are millions of computers called servers. Contained in the servers are things like websites or huge game worlds. It is common to have many servers connected in large data centers, but it's also possible to have a server at home or at work. The large computers and servers can talk with each other, but they do not speak in a normal language like English. Instead, they send numbers and codes to each other. The good thing about this is that a computer in Sweden can understand a computer in Japan, even though the people speak different languages. If you want to check out a website, a kind of question is sent from your computer to a server on the Internet that answers. The server that answers can be located anywhere in the world. Then the website is sent to your computer, and you can see it and click on it. How can a website find the right place on the Internet and arrive on my computer? That's because all appliances that are connected to the Internet, like computers, mobiles, and servers, have their own address. It's like the house you live in. It also has its own address so that you can receive mail and people can visit you. All appliances that are connected to the Internet have their own address. You can also say that Internet addresses are like telephone numbers. The right number in the right order make the computers and mobiles able to find each other on the Internet. It's like calling a telephone number and having someone answer. IP addresses are like telephone numbers. Do you remember that computers on the Internet talk with numbers and codes? Good. An address to a computer that is connected to the Internet can look like this. The number addresses on the Internet are called IP addresses. IP addresses are quite long. It can be 91.226.36.46. Well, you get it. Complicated, right? You can't read and remember so many numbers and points. That is why computers translate number addresses to letters. As people, we read and talk with words and letters, not with numbers. If you write or click on a link to a web address, your computer then contacts the right server with help of the Internet's address registry. But actually, the address is translated to a set of numbers and points. Addresses on the internet can be short, like iis.se, or long, like www.techniskamuseet.se. An address with letters instead of numbers is called a domain name. It is the servers that have domain names, not the computer, mobile, or tablet. There are around 250 million domain names in the world. In other words, there is unbelievably much to discover on the internet. Addresses that end in .se have a connection to Sweden, and there are around 1.3 million .se addresses. There are also other addresses that end with 2 letters that show which country a site has as its home. To take some examples, Danish websites often have .dk at the end, while many sites in Finland end with .fi, and in Norway they use .no. All the countries in the world have a similar letter code. They're called top-level domains. The abbreviation at the end of an internet address, like .se, is called a top-level domain, and there are over 300 different top-level domains in the world. But there are more types of addresses on the net. Have you seen addresses that end in .com, .net, or .org? These are addresses that do not indicate where in the world the server is located, but which can be found anywhere. The island of Niue has the country top-level domain .nu, which is used in the same way since the word nu means now in both Swedish and Dutch. Now to summarize a bit. The net is easy to use because there is a system with addresses so that you can always find the right way on the internet. The internet is a large network of internet cables and computers that make it possible for appliances to send information between each other, but some routes can go through the air. On the net, you can send and receive information. Everything is translated by computers from ones and zeros to messages, pictures, films, music, or games. All appliances, like computers, servers, and tablets, that are connected to the internet can be found through their IP addresses and the internet's address register. A website has a real name, a so-called domain name, and an IP address. The Swedish top-level domain is called .se. There are over 300 top-level domains in the world that are tied to a country. There you go. Now you know a little more about the global computer network called the Internet, which is used by 2.7 billion people. Have fun on the Internet.
When they first appeared, computers were as big as a room. A few years later, you could easily fit one on a desk, then your lap, and now your hand, or even wear it. In the future, you'll put them directly under your skin. The first implantable mobile phone is expected to be sold by 2023. How will this affect the way we live our lives, communicate with one another, and absorb information? Until now, our online presence has been a projection of ourselves. With implants, real-time data from our physical bodies will become part of our digital footprint, redefining the meaning of being online and blurring the boundaries between the physical and digital world. Implantable and wearable devices will create great opportunities, but also great challenges for humanity. They will help monitor our health, provide immediate information about what we see, or help find missing children. Controlling devices with our brains will enable disabled people to fully engage with the world and open endless possibilities for teaching, learning, and many new experiences. They will also create an unprecedented need to define clear boundaries for personal privacy and risk causing addiction, escapism, and trauma. In the future, will it be possible to ever be offline anymore? And what will being online really mean?
Hi, ladies and gentlemen, I am here to answer a simple question. What is net neutrality? Here is a quick and simple guide to what net neutrality is and why is it important. If you would like to find out more, I have put some links in the video's description. Net neutrality is a principle that all online traffic should be treated equally. This means that if you pay for a certain speed of internet connection, you should be able to use all of that speed, all of the time, regardless of which site, app, or service you are using. This idea is important to make sure that you get all of your downloads quickly. You are able to watch online videos without any problem. You can play games without being affected by lag. And you can use your favorite apps without having to wait. It all sounds very sensible, right? Who can be against making sure that our internet service works correctly? Well, the answer is that some internet service providers want to be able to charge users and online companies and the like for what they call a fast lane. What that really means, though, is that they will be able to slow user and companies' connection if they don't pay up. Make no mistake, the internet will not get faster with these so-called fast lanes. Websites and apps in the fast lane will load at the speed as they always did, and everything else will be dumped into a slow lane. It is like saying, the speed limit for cars is 60 km per hour, but only if you pay for this fast lane, only then you can drive at 60 km per hour. But everybody else has to drive in the slow lane at 30 km per hour. You did not make anyone faster by doing that. You just slowed down the people who were not willing to pay you the extra money for the services they should be getting anyway. The end result of abolishing net neutrality is that the quality of your service could degrade, and your internet bill could rise. Right now, you pay one price for your internet connection every month. But if huge companies, like Airtel or Vodafone, had their way, they will have the power to charge you extra every month to use apps such as YouTube or WhatsApp. This will be like a municipal water supply charging you extra because you decided to use your water for tea instead of laundry. The municipal water supply does not have any right to dictate what you use your water for. They can only charge you for the water itself. An electricity company does not charge you for premium electricity for your television. They can only charge you for the electricity that you use, not what it is used for. Some internet service providers want to be able to dictate what you can and cannot use. Worse still, they have a vested interest in doing so. Companies like Airtel and Reliance Communications also sell music and video streaming services and provide their own online messengers. They face stiff competition from services like YouTube and WhatsApp. These ISPs have a vested interest in slowing down their competition. If they succeed in abolishing net neutrality, they will be given power over the internet itself, and gain the position of kings. They get to decide what you watch, decide which company succeeds, and all the while perpetrating a massive amount of conflict of interest, by also providing their own content. In the worst case scenario, an app could be slowed down so much that it could prevent users from accessing it, and effectively censoring the content. This is contrary to freedom of speech, and the ideal of free and open internet, that encourages technological innovation, strong economy and healthy competition. That is what net neutrality is. And that is why it is important. The Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, TRAI, has come out with a consultation paper to get your views on net neutrality. The link is present in the video's description. TRAI holds a great deal of power over the rules and regulations that ISPs in India must abide by. If you are in India and would like to take action to prevent the end of net neutrality, I would suggest looking up their website. Before 24th of April 2015, send your views by writing to them on the email address shown here, and ask them to preserve the principle of net neutrality. Thank you for watching.